Hello, everybody. How are you guys today? Hope you guys are good. Thank you guys all for being here. Sima, Sifa, how are you guys? Glad you're here. Okay, so I'll just give everybody a minute. I'll give people a minute to get in here, and then we got a lot I want to go over today. Just so you guys all know, I have not found any new information on the Clancy case, so we're not talking about that today. There's just a lot of other stuff that I want to talk about and go over. And I'm glad you guys are here for it because there's not enough people in this world that have open minds, and there's not enough people in this world that support the kind of content. You know, our content usually goes against the agenda. So it's not, our content is usually the unpopular opinion, I will say. So I really appreciate you guys all being here and supporting us and our content and all of that. So thank you. All right, so let's get right popular. Yeah. All right, so let's get right into this. I got a lot to go over, so I'm just going to jump right in. It's, you know, a lot of different things, but I feel like we can talk, we can discuss things, we can all put our opinions out there. We all pretty much, are on the same wavelength as far as, society is really in a bad place today. So, I want the message to be today, be the change that you want to see in society. Pretending like things like problems don't exist is not going to help them. It's not going to solve anything. So just be the change that you want to see, and that will spread. Okay. Sorry, let me get my stuff here. All right, first let's talk about something that is impacting everybody. How did one of the largest egg production plants burn down during a national egg shortage? Now, for those of you that do not know, I'm going to pull up the article, but I think it's the third biggest egg production company in the US just went down in flames. Eggs are already through the freaking roof. And now one of the biggest egg suppliers is been burnt down, of course, right? Just going to add to the shortages, just going to add to the inflation for the cost of food for Americans. So I'm going to get out of here, and then I'm going to pull up that article. I just got to find it. It's in here somewhere. I got everything pulled up at the top of my screen. It's like a freaking million things in here. So just give me 1 second. Where's my... Oh, okay, got it. Okay. Sorry. All right. Let's pull this up. I'm going to share this with you guys. This is ridiculous. Oh, thank you, Sifa. All right. Third biggest egg farm in U.S. catches fire. 21 fire departments respond to huge blaze that likely killed thousands of chickens. So now, not only are the prices already up as high as they are, but now there will be shortages. When you can get chickens and eggs, the freaking price is going to be through the roof. A massive fire engulfed a large egg farm on Saturday. The huge blaze likely killed thousands of chickens and is expected to exacerbate the current dilemma of skyrocketing egg prices. Around 1 p.m. on Saturday, a 3-alarm fire was reported at the Hillendale Farms property in Connecticut. WSFB reported that a total of 21 fire departments responded to the 3-alarm fire, and it took firefighters 8 hours to put out the blaze. Norwich firefighters Local 892 said a 2-story 400-foot by 100-foot chicken coop was on fire. The fire was so large that it could be seen from miles away. Now, I did a story last year. I can't even think about the number. I can't even remember the exact number. It was 100 and something food processing plants that burnt down or were damaged in some way last year. Now, I believe that is all by design. I believe that is all done on purpose, and it is all done for a reason. And this just goes right into it. Into it. It fits all together. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Yep, yeah, I was just saying that. Okay, let's move on. I mean, don't you guys just think that is crazy, though? I mean, and it is all done by design, because why? I mean, think about it. Over 100 food processing plants burnt up last year or were destroyed in some manner, okay, where they couldn't produce the food. That means the food can't go out to the people. Oh, hey, Gloria, good to see you. Yeah, there's not that many coincidences. Oh, Barbara Spalding, thank you. Welcome to the family. But Mark, I honestly believe that it doesn't matter who owns it, because the whole point of it all is to affect the people, is to raise the prices. It is to make food shortages, or to make us believe that there are food shortages. It's all to go against us. All right, let's move on. All right, check this out. I found this pretty interesting. Michigan priest who temporarily died claims he went to hell and saw demons enslaving humans and torturing them with Rihanna music. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but listen to the story. Johnson says he made his way back to his physical... Oh, wait. Hold on a second. Okay. Johnson shared his experience via a now viral TikTok video. He says instead of heading straight for heaven as expected, he went the other way, down into the pits of hell. I thought I did so much good during my life and that I helped so many people, but even so, I went down to hell. Johnson says he saw demons enslaving humans and a man walking on all fours like a dog and getting burned from head to toe. His eyes were bulging, and worse than that, he was wearing chains on his neck. He was like a hellbound. Johnson claims hell was much worse than he could ever imagine. I entered the very center of the earth, Johnson says. The things I saw there are indescribable. It brings up so many difficult feelings when I try to talk about it. I was there, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I don't care what he did to me. No one deserves that. Johnson says there's a section of hell where music is played, but very badly. The priest claims that he could hear Rihanna's Umbrella and Bobby McFerrin's Don't Worry, Be Happy being used as instruments for torture. To make things significantly worse, the demon choir performing these songs were deliberately performing them incorrectly for maximum pain. Every word of every song was made to torture you for the fact that you didn't worship God through music while you were on earth. Johnson says he made his way back to his physical body, but will never forget what he saw. I was angry with God because I did so much good in my life and I ended up in hell. I rose up out of hell and returned to earth, and God spoke to me. He said, "You were secretly angry with people who harmed you. You hoped I would punish them. These are not your people. These are my people. I just want you to focus on the task that I give you. Even though I did good, the thing I had in my heart was a lack of forgiveness for the people who wronged me." Now, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about that because I want to hear some of your thoughts on that. I see, and now I've heard from lots of people that forgiveness is important and holding on to anger doesn't hurt anybody but you. But that's why I found this guy's story so interesting because I mean, he was like, I thought I did good in my life. Like I tried to be a good person. Um, I tried to do everything right. Like I became a priest. I tried to preach the gospel and I still ended up in hell. And he's saying that God told him it's because he holds all this anger in his heart because he refuses to forgive the people who have wronged him. And not for nothing, but that makes a lot of sense to me and that hits home a lot with me. Like I've always been one to hold on to anger. I hold it inside and then it just sits in there and doesn't go anywhere. Don't do anything with it. It's just there. But, and I understand that the only people that are getting hurt by you holding in all your anger is you, right? But what lesson do we learn from this guy's story? That he's trying to tell us that forgiveness is one of the most important things, that even if if people wrong you and they do these things, they do whatever the case may be, and you felt wronged, then you have to learn to let that go because you can't take it with you. All it does is hold you back. All it does is drag you down instead of letting you be enlightened like you're supposed to be. You know what I mean? And so I think that's a really important thing to talk about. Now, as I'm sitting here talking about forgiveness, I am not talking about, if somebody were to, I'm not talking about like the case yesterday. I'm not talking about somebody, unaliving all of your children and you forgiving them 3 days later. That's not what I'm talking about here. Obviously, that's craziness. But he does command us to forgive, and people, it's not our job to judge everybody else. But what is our job is to try to make the world a better place, to try to leave our mark on the world, to try to, be the change that we want to see in the world, be the change that we want to see in society. So I just thought that was interesting, and I wanted to see what you guys had to think about that. All right, let's move on. Gavin Newsom's wife made millions after charging public schools to watch gender justice films. Democratic California Governor Gavin Newsom's wife has potentially raked in millions of dollars from public schools showing her documentaries dedicated to intersectional gender justice, according to Open the Books, a watchdog group. Jennifer Siebel Newsom's nonprofit, the Representation Project, a group focused on fighting sexism through films and activism, charged California public schools between $49 to $5.99 to stream the documentaries on gender justice to their students. According to Open the Books, since 2012, Newsom has earned nearly $1.5 million in film licenses and nearly $1.7 million in sales from documentaries such as The Great American Lie, a story about systemic inequalities in gender, and Fair Play, about unfair dynamics for women within their homes. Approximately 2.6 million students in 5,000 schools across all 50 states watched the documentaries, which Newsom wrote and directed. Open the Books reported. Newsom's group charged schools an average of $270 to stream the films. The films pair with curriculums which have been distributed to 11,200 classrooms, including The Mask You Live In, which discusses how elementary school students can objectify and degrade women, according to a representation project. 2 films created by the group feature the governor and encourage students to vote for candidates who want a care economy. Pretty interesting, I thought. But to me, it's just another, like, when I hear things like this, it's just another, like, well, of course they did. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of your reaction. Well, of course. Of course. All right. Yes, everybody, please hit that thumbs up. It's a free way to help the channel, and it really does help. Yep, just another. Okay. Parent elected to school board leaks science curriculum that states biological sex isn't binary. Hold on, I gotta mute me. Have a good day, Gloria. Thank you for stopping by.
Approved by Planned Parenthood is being used right now by teachers in Sacramento City schools. The lesson plan encourages more supportive discussions about casual sex and eliminates women from pregnancy conversations to promote gender-inclusive language.
Jack Brewer is the CEO of the Brewer Group and a former NFL player and joins us now. Jack, what do you make of this lesson plan? It should be shocking, but sadly it's not.
Yeah, it's very sickening, working with youth as much as I do. Seeing these type of things is disturbing because you understand the vulnerability of all of these kids and how young that they are, kids that are trying to figure out and identify who they are. Sexuality is something that's always a hard conversation, but it's one that when you bring in confusion, you're bringing in manipulation. And manipulation is witchcraft. And I think that's something that we have to understand is that the spirituality of these children, we are completely undermining. And it's having grim results. I mean, no matter what you think about LGBT or transgender or all of that, there was a study done in Canada that found that kids were 5 times more likely to commit suicide if they're a transgender. So when you start confusing these kids, you're actually increasing the mental health issues of these children. And I think we all need to take a step back here and evaluate really where we align morality wise across our nation, because we are literally playing Russian roulette with the souls of our children.
Well, from that Balenciaga story we just read before to now this Planned Parenthood study story, why are we hypersexualizing our kids? It's the only time in your life that you get to be innocent. And yet we're trying to ruin that as a society, and it makes no sense. Jack, why is this happening?
It makes no sense. And you're disrespecting women first and foremost. Motherhood is something that women are ordained to do, something so special. You're disrespecting family, a family between a man and a woman, how God created us to make our children and reproduce. You're disrespecting all of that. And then to take the vulnerable children like this and just to hijack their youth, completely rip them away from being able to be pure and youthful youthful and enjoy things, and you're leaving them for a lifetime of torment. I mean, looking at these type of numbers, another study showed that 50% of the LGBT community considers taking their lives, committing suicide. Those type of numbers should be disturbing. This should be a CDC health issue. Instead of Dr. Fauci talking about giving kids shots, he needs to be on television talking about this healthcare crisis that we have going on with pushing all of this LGBT across our nation.
Yeah. Jack, I want to turn now to this on the education topic. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made some comments about who he thinks the most dangerous person in the world is. He said it in an interview, quote, "Is it Chairman Kim? Is it Xi Jinping? The most dangerous person in the world is Randy Weingarten. It's not a close call. If you ask who's the most likely to take this republic down, it would be the teachers' unions and the filth that they're teaching our kids and the fact that they don't know math and reading or writing." Weingarten responded on Twitter saying, "I know that Mike Pompeo is running for president, and frankly, I don't know whether to characterize his characterization of me in the interview as ridiculous or dangerous." What do you make of Pompeo's language here? Do you think he was too harsh?
Not at all. What Mike Pompeo was warning Americans is that we are in a spiritual battle, and this teachers union is right at the heart and soul of the spiritual battle of our nation. Because if you teach children and indoctrinate them the way that we're doing right now in these schools across America, the likelihood of our republic standing and us having a successful nation is diminished. And I think that's what you're seeing right now. All these things, this lady and their entire organization is the result of the lawlessness that you see in the streets. The ability for children to speak to the adults the way that they do, and for them to go around and act the way that they do, it comes from what we're teaching them in school. We have an obligation to these kids. And then you start talking about the fatherlessness issue and the fact that many of these kids don't even have two parents to come home to. They don't have stable homes anymore. Or we're battling inflation and all these other economic issues. And so the school has become even more important. And so if we can't treasure our youth and start to really stand up for their foundational skills, then the likelihood of America having the dreams that we've all been accustomed to is diminished, and we need to do something about it. So I applaud the words of Mike Pompeo.
Yeah, notice that Randy Weingarten didn't respond to the specifics in Pompeo's accusation, what they're teaching our kids, and the low skill levels in math, reading, and writing. That is pretty telling. Jack Brewer, thank you, sir.
I mean, is there anybody in the chat right now that disagrees with what that man said? Because I think he hit the nail right on the head. I think he did. And it's so important. And so many people just aren't getting the message, you know? And for God's sakes, these are your children's. This is your children's life. This is your children's souls. These are your children's, well-being that we are talking about here. More people need to wake up and pay attention. All right. Okay. Now, have y'all seen the body cam footage of Paul Pelosi's, when the cops showed up at his house that night when the guy broke in with the hammer? Have you guys all seen that footage? Okay, well, if you have, you're going to see it again, because this was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. First of all, the cops show up. They knock on the door. Paul Pelosi answers the door. He's got no pants on. He's got a drink of scotch or bourbon or whiskey or something. He's got a drink in his hand, and he's holding the hammer with the other guy. They both got their hands on the hammer, but he opens the door just as casual as can be, like, "Hey, how's it going?" Didn't look like he was under attack for me. So if you ask me, the official story is not the official story, if you guys know what I'm saying. But we'll just see. We'll just see. Okay.
Yeah, definitely don't want all of here. I definitely don't want all of here. Hello. Yeah. Fucking said 2620, right? No, 2640. Oh. Yeah, it literally said in there. Hi. Guys. How you doing?
How are you?
What's going on, man?
Everything's good.
Hi. Drop the hammer.
Nope. Hey.
What is going on right now?
I'm not getting an answer on call back.
Bro, oh shit.
From the area that someone emailed.
I got him, Michael. Ever 14, ever send back up code 3.
Code 3 back up at 26.
Give me your fucking hand.
Unit code
Give me your fucking hand.
40 Broadway for 14 out.
Okay. Now, I'm going to say this. First of all, oh my gosh, they made it sound like he was a freaking attacked with a hammer, like beaten, bludgeoned to death, right? So first of all, you can't even see him get hit with the hammer. The cop is standing there out of view of the camera. And first of all, let's start here. He opens the door. He's got a drink in one hand. He's got no pants on. He's like, hey guys, how's it going? Okay. Next thing, he steps out of view. The guy swings the hammer, which we don't ever see it hit him because he's out of camera view in the first place. Okay. And then so he takes one swing. The cops come in, tackle the guy to the ground, and that next thing you know, you hear Pelosi snoring on the ground. And I said to Chad, because this just came out, this was just released the other day. I looked at Chad, I go, can you believe this is the biggest load of bullshit I've ever, they made it sound like this guy was attacked, brutally with a hammer. I mean, he's got no pants on. He's got a drink in his hand. He doesn't seem that uncomfortable. He doesn't seem like he's under attack. And I mean, it's crazy. And then, like I said, and then he's snoring on the ground. So really, you don't see shit. You don't see him get attacked with a hammer. There wasn't even really, I wouldn't even call that an attack I wouldn't call that an attack in the first place. I just, the lunacy that they try to push. It's crazy. It's almost like 1-6. They try to make it out to be this horrible thing. And you see it and you're like, what this is it? This is the big thing? Okay. Exactly. Why would you be answering the door? I mean, you're holding on to the hammer along with the guy. You're like, hey, hold on a minute. Let's just both hold on to this hammer. Let's open the door for these cops. I mean, wait. I got to get my drink in my hand. I mean, I never thought to put pants on, but damn. It's ridiculous. Right. Okay. So I just want to bring that up because it's so ridiculous. I know, and he's opening his own door. Come on. Yeah, he had a hammer in one hand and a drink in the other. So who actually opened the door? It's crazy. Okay, moving on. Moving on from the insanity. All right. Utah bans sex change surgery on minors, restricts puberty blockers and hormones. Finally, somebody making a step in the right direction. Republican Utah Gov. Spencer J. Cox signed into law a ban on some gender-affirming care for transgender minors in the state, restricting both puberty blockers and hormones and prohibiting sex reassignment surgeries. More and more experts, states, and countries around the world are pausing these permanent and life-altering treatments for new patients until more and better research can help determine the long-term consequences. Senate Bill 16, known as Transgender Medical Treatment and Procedures, was introduced by a family physician in Utah. The legislation stated that it prohibits a healthcare provider from providing a hormonal transgender treatment to new patients who were not diagnosed with gender dysphoria before a certain date, and prohibits performing sex characteristic surgical procedures on minors. It is a step in the right direction. While we understand our words will be of little comfort to those who disagree with us, we sincerely hope that we can treat our transgender families with more love and respect as we work to better understand the science and consequences behind these procedures. Cox said his administration recognized that it was a terribly divisive issue and sought to push the state legislature to provide additional resources to organizations that work to help this important Utah community. So at least it's a step in the right direction. At least it's a state saying, hey, we are not going to do any transgender reassignment surgeries or any hormone blockers on these teenagers. We're not doing it. So that's good. That's good news. We need to see more of that. All right, let's move on. Oh, I laughed when I heard this story. A Florida OnlyFans model is suing her local school district, saying sexually explicit images of her were shared among staff at her children's school. Hey, lady, if you want to take your clothes, I don't know how you missed this, but if you want to take your clothes off on the internet, expect this kind of shit to happen. You put it out there. You decided that to make money, you were going to take your clothes off and do it on the internet. And then you want to sue the school because you have sexually explicit images going around at the school that your children attend. You know, I mean, there's no way. She made this decision. She put it on the internet. Once it's out there, it's out there. There's no taking it back. You probably should have thought about your kids seeing this stuff before you decided to strip online. That's what I would say to that. A Florida OnlyFans model is suing her local school district. She says in a complaint that explicit images of her were shared among staff at her children's school. She's claiming cyber harassment and invasion of privacy, among other things. This is so ridiculous. It's like, stop trying to make yourself out to be a victim, right? You wanted to be skanky and go online and take your clothes off for people. And now you're going to complain because it's an invasion of privacy? Put your damn clothes back on, lady, and get a regular job. You'd have nothing to complain about. But, you know, we do live in the upside down. So in this crazy world, her case would probably get somewhere, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. All right. Okay. Let's go. All right, what in the actual F? The WEF, the World Economic Forum, goes fully minority report as they introduce a plan to scrape brain data for possible crimes. All right, let me mute myself.
First off, a video. It's going to make you see the future and understand a wonderful future where we can use brainwaves to fight crime, be more productive, and find love. Let's roll.
Sensing your joy, your playlist shifts to your favorite song, sending chills up your spine as the music begins to play. You glance at the program running in the background on your computer screen and notice a now familiar sight that appears whenever you're overloaded with pleasure. Your theta brainwave activity decreasing in the temporal regions of your brain. You mentally move the cursor to the left and scroll through your brain data over the past few hours. You can see your stress levels rising as the deadline to finish your memo approached, causing a peak in your beta brainwave activity right before an alert popped up, telling you to take a brain break. Your mind starts to wander to the new colleague on your team, whom you know you shouldn't be daydreaming about, given the policy against intra-office romance. But you can't help fantasizing just a little. But then you start to worry that your boss will notice your amorous feelings when she checks your brain activity and shift your attention back to the present. You breathe a sigh of relief when the email she sends you later that day congratulates you on your brain metrics from the past quarter, which have earned you another performance bonus. When you arrive at work the next day, a somber cloud has fallen over the office. Along with emails, text messages, and GPS location data, the government has subpoenaed employees' brainwave data from the past year. They have compelling evidence that one of your coworkers has committed massive wire fraud. Now, they're looking for his co-conspirators. You discover they are looking for synchronized brain activity between your coworker and the people he has been working with. While you know you're innocent of any crime, you've been secretly working with him on a new startup venture. Shaking, you remove your earbuds.
What do you think? Is it a future you're ready for? You may be surprised to learn that it's a future that has already arrived. Everything in that video that you just saw is based on technology that is already here today. Artificial intelligence has enabled advances in decoding brain activity in ways that we never before thought possible. After all, what you think, what you feel, it's all just data. Data that in large patterns can be decoded using artificial intelligence. We're not talking about implanted devices of the future. I'm talking about wearable devices that are like Fitbits for your brain. The newest way to monitor attention is through a device like this one. These are ear pods that are launching later this year. These ear pods, much like the video you watched earlier, are ear pods that can pick up brainwave activity and tell whether or not a person is paying attention or their mind is wandering. Okay, well, you might think, fine, but even if we can tell whether a person is paying attention or their mind is wandering, you can't tell what they're paying attention to. You would be wrong. Turns out that you can not only tell whether a person is paying attention or their mind is wandering, but you can discriminate between the kinds of things that they're paying attention to. Whether they're doing something like central tasks, like programming, peripheral tasks, like writing documentation, or unrelated tasks, like surfing social media or online browsing. When you combine brainwave activity together with other forms of software and surveillance technology, the power becomes quite precise. So what do we do with this? What do we do with technology that enables us to monitor brainwave activity for attention? Do we embrace it? Do we resist it? I believe that there is a pathway forward with such technology. We might soon even use the technology to help people wake back up. This is a haptic scarf that MIT Media Lab has developed, which uses brainwave technology in a responsive way to give a person a little buzz, literally, when their mind starts to wander, to help them refocus and hone their attention. I'm giving you the positive use cases because what I don't want the reaction to be is, let's ban this.
I mean, talk about insanity. And for real, people need to wake up because this shit is happening right now. This is the reality that we are all a part of. And what about when they're, because I mean, they're going to be doing this through earbuds. They're going to be what about when they get into your children's brain activity? What about when you go, all of your shit, all of your brain activity, all of your waves, all of your, what you focus on throughout the day, all of your thoughts that are supposed to be just yours are going to go into this data file folder, and anybody, they can access it at any time. It's crazy. Okay, let's move on. I mean, that's just insane, though. Yep, what makes you happy, what makes you mad, what makes you tick, what gets you, yep. Okay. Yeah, put them on Klaus Schwab. Let's get his brain activity. Let's see what his thoughts are. Put one on Bill Gates, Okay. Children's mental health tops list of parent worries, survey finds. Hold on, I'll play this.
What's it like to hear from the people actually living the headlines? I'm Audie Cornish. My new CNN podcast will talk to the people behind the trending stories. I've got a lot of questions.
The Assignment with Audie Cornish. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
When I was a teenager in the 1970s, my parents had what were then the normal concerns: binge drinking, drunk driving, teen pregnancy, and smoking, both cigarettes and weed. But the main worries of today's parents about their teenagers, they're of a different sort: anxiety, depression, self-harm, suicide. These troubling statistics predate the pandemic and have only gotten worse since. In 2019, 13% of adolescents reported having a major depressive episode, up 60% from 2007. For people ages 10 to 24, the CDC estimates that suicide rates leapt nearly 60% from 2007 to 2018. And according to the mail order pharmacy Express Scripts, from 2015 to 2019, prescriptions for antidepressants rose 38% for teenagers, compared with 15% for adults. These facts and more comprise the background for the first installment of Inner Pandemic, a New York Times series about adolescence titled "It's Life or Death: The Mental Health Crisis Among U.S. Teens." Joining me now is its author, Matt Richtel, a Pulitzer Prize-winning staff writer for the New York Times. For the series, he spent more than a year interviewing adolescents and their families. He's also written a book just out called Inspired: Understanding Creativity, A Journey Through Art, Science, and the Soul. Matt, as I said, my folks, they were most concerned about me coming home from a kegger. What's changed?
Right. Well, I guess my first question is, were they right to be concerned?
Yes.
Okay. So look, we've had a fundamental shift in the United States, and looks like across Western countries, in what ails young people. public health worried about those external harms you mentioned before, and things have flipped, and they now worry about what they call these internalized risks: anxiety, depression, suicide, and self-harm. That's a monster public health story.
Is it that these things were always with us, but when undiagnosed, or has there been some kind of a shift? And if so, caused by what?
I mean, it's a strange answer, but the answer is yes, and probably both. Some of this stuff was there, and some of it's been intensified. The reasons behind it are a bit complicated, but I'll try to narrow it to this. There's been a change in the adolescent brain and a change in the environment, and the collision of those two things has amplified what we think about as teen angst and turned it, in some cases, into serious pathology.
Matt, here are some things. I'm going to put them up in graph form from your piece that are down.
Yep.
They include, let's take a look at these. They include the following: whether people have smoked, ever tried vaping, alcohol, unprotected sex, cocaine, watching television. You'd think that's all good that those things are down. Right. Next slide, please. Here are some things that are up or at least getting worse. They include persistently feeling sad or hopeless, seriously considering suicide, even making a plan, attempting suicide, et cetera, et cetera. One more slide, if I may. Smartphone usage. Yeah. What's the connection between these three slides that I've just shown?
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, I'm so glad you picked those out, because they show it in very plain terms what's going on. And what the smartphone represents is not the smartphone per se. And it's easy to say, oh, the rise of the smartphone and the internet caused this. But here's another way to think about that, Michael. That represents a massive shift in lifestyle. The lifestyle went from outdoors, hanging out at the woodsy, your parents concerned about the kegger, my parents concerned about the kegger, maybe driving recklessly, but congregating, to a lifestyle in which young people are increasingly indoors. They are getting less physical exercise, less in-person experience. They're also sleeping less, and they're interacting with their devices. It doesn't mean the smartphone is the cause. It means the smartphone is an inflection point in a changing lifestyle.
Jean Twenge has done a lot of work in this regard, pointing out that in 2012, that was the year when more than half of America had a cell phone. From her writings, put that up on the screen and let me share it with Matt. She has said the following: psychologically, however, they are more vulnerable than millennials were. Rates of teen depression and suicide have skyrocketed since 2011. It's not an exaggeration to describe iGen as being on the brink of the worst mental health crisis in decades. Much of this deterioration can be traced to their phones. Is she right?
The short answer is we don't know. And I want to say something very pointedly and very important, Michael, and this may be the most important thing I say here today. The science is unclear about the relationship between social media in particular and mental health. And I think that the reason I was given more than a year to talk to families and scientists is to try to get at the more nuance of the science here. I don't think we can show through the research that merely looking at social media and interacting with it causes mental health problems for all youth. I think we can show that for some youth it's a problem, and that for other youth, they actually thrive. There's a much bigger picture at play than that simple explanation expresses.
Matt, it's an important subject. Can't wait for your next installment. Thank you.
Okay. Now, I believe that kids these days do have way too much anxiety. They are way too anxious about everything. They're confused. They're anxious. They don't know who they are. You have all this shit on social media that is pushing this confusion, that is pushing this garbage, and that is pushing this trash to the kids. And the schools doing what they're doing And we wonder why the kids and the teens are having all of these issues today. See, now what they'd like to do is they like to create the problem. And then after a while goes by, they'll come out and they'll say, okay, look, here, there's a real problem here. Now we're going to give you the solution to fix it. So they'll cause the problem. They'll come up with the solution. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a revolving door. They are causing all of these problems. The school systems are causing all of these problems. The kids are the way they are because they don't know who they're supposed to be. That, you know, that they're born who they are. And then as soon as you get into preschool and school and they're like, hey, you can be whoever you want to be. And they're doing all of these things and it's causing kids to have anxiety. It's causing kids to be confused. They don't know what's going on. They're suicidal because they don't fit in. Schools and bullying is ridiculous. There's fights. I mean, every day. It's crazy. It is freaking insane. But it's all problems that they themselves have caused on the people. And now they want to come in acting like they give a shit. And then they're going to come up with a solution and say, oh, see, we fixed the problem. Never admitting that they caused the problem in the first place. It's ridiculous. All right. Okay, now do you guys remember that story I shared with you? I want to say it was last week. It might have been the week before. Of that lady who went to the gym and she made that video about the guy who was supposedly giving her unwanted attention and it made her feel uncomfortable. Well, now it's all TikTok. It's all over the place. Women dressing in these skimpy ass outfits to go to the gym. And then when people do pay attention to them or men do pay attention to them, which obviously is what they were wearing that outfit for, they pull out a phone, make a video, call them a creep, and, you know, post it all over social media. All right. This is what this lady chose to go to the gym in. Now, you tell me that you're going to the gym to work out and that's what you chose to wear. And you're telling me that that was not to get attention? What happened to freaking leggings and a t-shirt? You know? What happened to shorts and a t-shirt? Like, maybe if you didn't go to the gym dressed like 10 cents a dance, that you wouldn't be getting this unwanted attention. And then you want to be calling everybody out because they were looking at you. I would be looking at you funny if I saw you in the gym. Let me tell you. Put some clothes on, lady. You're in the gym. This ain't your living room. You bring this unwanted attention on yourself and then post videos about it, making yourself out to be a victim. Knock it off. Do you know how far women have had to come and how much women have had to fight for you to just act like that? Get over yourself. Go put some damn clothes on or go work out at home. Stop trying to make yourself a victim. That's what I say. Okay. All right. Governor Inslee to release nation's most violent sex offenders from secluded McNeil Island into small town communities. They will be scattered throughout the state next to daycares, schools, and residential neighborhoods. Washington state Democrats are releasing the nation's most violent sex offenders from secluded McNeil Island and placing them into private homes in small town communities across the state. McNeil Island has been home to 214 of the most dangerous sex offenders, with 60% of them having committed a violent sex crime against children. Although many have completed their prison sentence, they remain locked up in a special commitment center as the courts have legally classified them to be sexually violent predators. This means they have a mental abnormality or personality disorder that makes them likely to engage in repeat sexual violence. Governor Inslee and Washington State Attorney General Bob Ferguson are releasing these sex offenders from McNeil Island, a high-security facility surrounded only by the freezing waters, and placing them into private homes owned by Supreme Living. They will be scattered throughout the state next to daycare, schools, and residential neighborhoods. Supreme Living does not have secured facilities. Therefore, these violent offenders are bound to escape the private homes, go into communities, and reoffend, as many have been deemed mentally insane. These violent sexual predators will not be under the supervision of the Department of Corrections. Instead, they will be under the supervision of the Washington State Department of Social and Health Services. Oh, great. Angela Ronaldo, the owner of Supreme Living, is a former DSHS employee. The first place to house these offenders is in the small town of Tenino, Washington. Tenino is a beautiful mountain town located near Mount Rainier with a population of fewer than 2,000 people. It's a family-friendly community where parents raise their kids away from the hustle and bustle that big city have to offer. After a whistleblower from the DSHS came forward, the people of Tenino, Washington have been fighting back against these predators from coming into their community. This insanity all began during the height of the pandemic, when bills were flying through the state legislature while no one was paying attention. Senate Bill 5163, which was drafted only by Democratic legislators, significantly deceives the public from the reality of the bill, as the text only reads, concerning the placement and treatment of conditionally released sexual violent predators, providing no other context. Tenino is only the first known site where these predators will be housed, and as more whistleblowers come forward, more sites will be revealed. Crazy. And they want to they're so violent and so bad that they've already finished their prison sentences, but they have to stay there because they're literally a danger to society. And some bonehead decided, hey, let's release them out onto the public. All right. White woman claims that white supremacy and not police is to blame for Tyree Nichols' death. Tyree was murdered at the hands of other black officers.
I got a message today for some white people. If we have white people listening, paying attention, I wouldn't mind if you would do this with me. We rub our chests, we find our heartbeat, and we say, we did this. We did this. White supremacy did this. I'm talking about Tyree Nichols. Police didn't do this. The Memphis Police Department didn't do this. White supremacy did this.
I say lay off the crack pipe, lady, and get it together. White supremacy did not do this. It's people like that push that race bullshit garbage. I mean, that's the problem here. You know, united we stand, divided we fall. There's always going to be people out there trying to divide the nation. And these boneheads are just falling into that. You know, like literally put down the crack pipe for the day, I think you've had enough. Like, let's move on. Like, wake the hell up, lady. Are you even listening to yourself? All right. New York school district sued for emotional distress prompted by mask enforcement. 2 New York mothers are suing their children's public school district for causing emotional distress by enforcing mask wearing despite the overturning of a state mandate. The lawsuit comes after dozens of parents have consistently challenged the 19 protocols implemented by the Riverhead Central School District located on Long Island. During much of the pandemic, RCSD students were required to wear masks throughout the school day. The policy, which began in August of 2021, has been accused of being cruel and unusual due to alleged repercussions students would face if they did not comply. Our children are ridden with anxiety because it has been drilled into their heads for a year and a half that they must put on a mask or risk consequences. Parent Monique Parsons said during a school board meeting that August, such as being made to sit on opposite sides of the class of their classmates. Parsons was one of several parents who took to August school board meetings to oppose the policy. A New York state mandate requiring members of all public entities, including students and staff of state school districts, to wear masks was overturned in January 2022. However, RCSD reportedly notified families that same night that masking would still be enforced throughout its buildings, citing recommendations from the state's Department of Education. Parsons and fellow parent Jennifer Venth claimed their children attended Pulaski Street Elementary School and Riverhead Middle School the next day without wearing masks. The students were allegedly directed to alternate classrooms despite exhibiting a lack of C-19 symptoms. Parsons and Venth are accused RCSD of inflicting emotional distress and endangering their children's welfare by separating them from their peers against their will. They also argue that the district violated the students' rights by discriminating based on socioeconomic status. They're segregating them. They're not educating them. And it's unacceptable and it's unconstitutional, Parsons said during a mass protest she helped organize that same month. RCSD's school board voted to end its mask enforcement in March 2022. However, Parsons and Venth are looking for their district to serve as an example to prevent others from harming students under the guise of furthering the public good. New York is one of several states where public school districts have seen legal challenges to pandemic era requirements. The national desk has reached out to RCSD for comment, but has not heard back. Good. More power to these mothers. It's about time people start standing up to this bullshit that they are doing to your children. Okay. Exactly, Karma. New York has so many issues that I don't think it's fixable when we have illegals protesting for $500 a night stay in a hotel, and we as taxpayers can't even afford that for our own families. All right. All right, it looks like Mount Pleasant High School in Rhode Island is soliciting donations from teachers to pay a debt to a cartel that trafficked a student there. This is from the school. Hello, team. Please see the message below regarding our consideration for an urgent matter to support one of our own students here at Mount. We have a student who came to America with coyotes, which is a group that helps people. No, they are traffickers. This group gives you a time frame to make a payment of $5,000 to those who bring them into the States. Our student needs our urgent support to raise another $2,000 to meet his goal of $5,000 by February 1st. Please considering helping if you can by donating on Friday. Melania will be around to collect money between 8 and 8:45. From Stefani Harvey, physical assistant principal, Mount Pleasant High School, Rhode Island. Literally paying off traffickers. I mean, I have never heard of such things in my entire life. They're literally trying to raise money to pay off traffickers. That's crazy, right? Yeah, that is so illegal. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm telling you. I'm telling you this shit you cannot make up. All right. Preschool teacher allegedly created OnlyFans content on school grounds. A preschool para, Brenna Percy, at Wolf Swamp Road School in Longmeadow, Massachusetts, appears to have filmed content for her OnlyFans on school grounds. OnlyFans, a subscriber-based creator platform, has skyrocketed in popularity due to its focus on adult-only content. Here's the teacher. Yeah. Yeah. And there's more. But let's see. Brenna Percy was listed as Wolf Swamp Road School staff member as of Wednesday morning, but the school has since removed her from their public website after Libs of TikTok contacted them with the photos. Libs of TikTok was tipped off about the OnlyFans content and immediately contacted the schools. I mean, what is going on with teachers? Seriously. Half of them are, preaching this non-binary garbage to children. The other half are trans, trying to tell your kid what to do and how to do it and to keep it from you. And then you got these ones over here that have got adult only sites online, and they're in the bathroom taking photos to upload to their adult only websites. It's freaking crazy. You know what? Shut the freaking school systems down. All of them. All of them. Shut them down. Get the kids out of there. Get the kids away from these freaking lunatics, and we'll all be better off. I mean, for God's sakes. Wait, Mello, what's the Five Fingers in New York? Oh, the Finger Lakes? That's relative squares. We don't have too many issues. That's crazy. You'll have to let me know about what you're talking about. Oh, bad. Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's everywhere. But yeah, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, the shit that happens today. Okay. All right. With a decline in bees, crops could be pollinated by these tiny little flying robots. There's no volume. So look at these things. Oh, wait a second. No. Go back. Hold on, you guys. Oh, unmute. There we go. All right. Check these things out. Maybe. If it'll let you. This is their solution to pollinating because bees are dying. Little tiny little robots. Now tell me we're not living in a strange reality. Tell me we're not living in the upside down. They're killing the damn bees. Hold on, I'm removing some of this stuff that I talked about so I don't get it. Okay. Okay. It's crazy. Farmer protests. MPS grill government on Great Reset agenda, forcing farms to close. What, babe? Okay. Elected representatives in the Netherlands have grilled the country's government over exactly how many farms will be forced to close to satisfy their European Union's Great Reset green agenda. They're taken to the streets. As farmers in the Netherlands continue protesting the EU's Great Reset measures, which could see as much as 30% of livestock farms in the country forced to close, stunned elected representatives have been grilling the Dutch government as to the exact nature of the planned closures. Described as being part and parcel of an unavoidable transition, the Dutch government has seemingly committed itself to killing off many farming businesses in its own country for the sake of appeasing green agenda nitrogen reduction targets. However, while those in the government's cabinet seem steadfast in doing the work ordered by the European Union, other politicians, including some of those within the parties of the country's ruling coalition, have challenged the move. That is ridiculous. Shutting down the farms to meet the standards of this green agenda. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of baloney. It's just another way for them to have control. Shut down the farms, shut down the things that they do, shut down the things that they produce. It's all about control, and it's all to go into these agendas that they want to push, that they want to enforce. More power to these farmers. It's ridiculous, the kind of stuff that is happening to them. It's totally insane. Yeah, and they've done that to our farms here. People have gotten letters. Listen, you got to do this, or we're going to shut you down. Or here, we're going to offer you this much to change your shit over to this, or else we're going to lower your price for what we're charging you right now. It's sad. It is very sad. Rep. Sheila Jackson Lee introduces bill criminalizing conspiracy to commit white supremacy criticism of non-white people. Rep. Sheila Jackson Lee, a Democrat out of Texas, introduced a House bill criminalizing conspiracy to commit white supremacy, which includes criticism of non-white people, which influences an individual to commit a hate crime. The legislation H.R. 61, Leading Against White Supremacy Act of 2023, introduced last Monday by Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas, seeks to prevent and prosecute white supremacy-inspired hate crime and conspiracy to commit white supremacy-inspired hate crime. The congressional bill, which was referred to the Committee on the Judiciary, states that someone engages in a white supremacy inspired hate crime when white supremacy ideology has motivated the planning, development, preparation, or perpetration of actions that constituted a crime or were undertaken in furtherance of activity that, if effectuated, would have constituted a crime. Accordingly, conspiracy to engage in white supremacy inspired hate crimes entails the publishing of material advancing white supremacy ideology, blah, 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 based on replacement theory or hate speech that vilifies or is otherwise directed against any non-white person or group. It's ridiculous. Literally, they have been doing this for the last few years. And I've been trying to tell people, don't fall into the trap. The only race war that's going on is government pushed. They keep pushing this bullshit. They keep putting this stuff out there. They're the ones that keep putting the problem in front of the people, and the people bite. Why? Because people like conflict. Because people want to defend themselves. Because people feel like they always have to, how do I want to say this? You guys know what I'm trying to say. Like, there is no problem until they create it. And then they bring it to the people, and then they make you make it a problem. They keep pushing it and talking about it until someone's like, okay, maybe we do have a problem here. No, we don't have a problem here. We don't. It's these people pushing this problem. And when people wake up to realize that, we'll be in a much better world. If everybody would just, and that's what I tried to say, the answer is simple. The answer to everything is simple, right? United we stand, divided we fall. Don't bite the apple. Don't freaking engage in this nonsense, because it just makes it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it's a huge problem. Knock it off. They can't have everybody united, because they'd have no chance. They would have no chance. If everybody came together and actually was for each other, instead of falling into these roles that the government wants you to fall into and wants you to be a part of, the world would be a much better place, and we wouldn't have nearly half the problems that we have right now. But instead, everybody wants to attack each other and go at each other's throats, and it's race this, or it's trans this, or if it's this. Dude, just knock it off, right? Just stop the shit. All right. All right. Let me pull this up. Florida aims to criminalize adults who bring children to drag shows. Good. You should be arrested for taking your kid to a drag show. Absolutely, you should be. You wouldn't take your kid to a damn strip club. You wouldn't take your kid to, you wouldn't want your son to see a grown woman with barely any clothes on. So why you take him to see a man with barely any clothes on? You should be arrested for that. DeSantis is trying. All right. And then here you have the city of West Hollywood in California is sponsoring massive ads around the city for drag queen events for kids. It's painted on the freaking walls. it is painted on the walls. Fake eyelashes, real news. Follow, I don't know, at WeHo City for alerts on local events where drag queens slay and policy is made. All right. A few months ago, the American Academy of Pediatrics signed a letter asking Biden's Department of Justice to investigate those opposed to sex change surgeries on minors. Did you? Yeah, you heard me correctly. The American Academy of Pediatrics signed a letter asking Biden's DOJ to investigate those who opposed to sex change surgeries on children. They want people who oppose that to be investigated. Now, Florida is ordering the AAP, the American Academy of Pediatrics, to turn over documents explaining why they support sex change operations on kids. Flip the script. I can't think of one reason why anybody would encourage a child to do that. Not one. All right. Now, I got this email this morning. Let's look at the recall alerts today. Soup, recall for allergy alert. Bread and rolls recalled, risk of serious or life-threatening allergic reaction. Nationwide popcorn and rice cake recall. Cake recall, metal object has been found in a cake. Snack foods recalled, allergens. Beef recalled due to misbranding and an undeclared allergen. Let's see, minivans recalled over engine issue. Candles recalled due to fire and injury hazards. Amazon recalls clothing, violation of federal flammability standards and burn hazard. Sprouts recalled, contamination with Shiga toxin producing E. coli. Hot chocolate recalled, risk of serious or life-threatening allergic reaction. Television and stands recalled due to serious tip-over and entrapment hazards. Vacuums recalled for fire hazard. Windows recalled for fall and serious injury hazards. But look at the food. Look at the food. Every day I get one of these emails, and every day the list is this long of everything that's been recalled and why. E. coli, listeria, metal objects found, plastic objects found in the food. Allergic recalls because item wasn't listed correctly on the label and somebody could go into anaphylactic shock if eating it. Let's see. It's never ending. Every day. And we have an FDA. Our food is supposed to be tested to be safe. Like it's supposed to be examined to be safe before the FDA slaps their freaking stamp on it and sends it out the door. Before the USDA slaps a stamp on it and sends it out the door. Everything is supposed to be inspected. Now, I think was it last year? Was it last year or the year before? I can't remember exactly. But they said that pork products were going to stop being inspected. They were just going to go right through, which is totally crazy to me. Link between the big V and stroke still unknown. Yeah, it's bird flu outbreak warning. So with the bird flu outbreak warning, and then the chickens all being burnt down over there, and the eggs all being destroyed. Yeah, so that's coming around the corner. Wait for that. But it's every day. If they were for the people, you wouldn't get those kind of emails every freaking day. Oh shit, Shelly. They've been putting fluoride in water for years, and I've tried to tell everybody that too. Fluoride is so bad for you. So freaking bad for you. And it's in everything. But it's really in water. That's why we buy water, but you do know even now, listen to this, check this out. Poland Springs, it is not on the label, but they just added fluoride to their water. I read an article about it, I don't know, a while ago, like a couple weeks ago. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, got it. Better stay away from that big V man. And I tried telling people that too. But to each their own. I'm not, to each their own. All right, Utah 14-year-old girl saved by app after she was allegedly kidnapped and taken to an Airbnb. On Saturday morning, a 14-year-old girl told police she was walking home when Jonathan David Ep Simonji, 26, pulled in front of her in his Camaro and asked her to get in. According to a press release from the Salt Lake City Police Department, Simonji allegedly offered the underage teen a beer and food, attempting to lure her into his vehicle. After the girl refused and tried running away, Simonji reportedly found her, got out of his car, grabbed her, and told her that he may have something on him. The girl was taken to the Airbnb where Simonji offered her more alcohol and refused to let her go. The teen victim later told the police that when she could not get a hold of her friends or family, she downloaded the Safe UT app, which is a crisis chat and tip line that provides real-time crisis intervention for students, parents, guardians, and educators through live chat and a confidential tip line. A Safe UT worker spoke to the victim and contacted law enforcement about the situation. According to the affidavit, when officers arrived at the Airbnb, they found the 26-year-old in bed with the 14-year-old. The teenager was immediately safely rescued and returned to her family. She was saved by an app. Oh, that allegedly. That's the story. But that's crazy. But that's a good thing. That is a good thing. All right. Sorry, I gotta jump over here. Okay. All right, so that's all I had. Anybody got any questions or anything you want to mention before I end the show today? Let me go over to this other. It's faster. I'm glad you guys were here for it. I think, I tried to cover everything that I could, that I had and ready to go, and thought stuff that I thought was important. So yeah, I hope you guys liked the show today. Okay, so please hit that thumbs up. Please sub to the channel. It's a free way for you to help out the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. And it really helps. And again, I will ask you guys to please come back and leave comments after the video is over. People are not doing that, and my videos are not being shown. They're not being recommended. So I really ask you guys to please do that if you can. And anybody who wants to help extra, links are all down in the description to donate below. like I said when I started this stream, my content is usually against the agenda of what they're pushing. So it's not, they're not going to just recommend my videos on a whim. People have to like the video. People have to comment. They have to see that people are interacting with the content. So I ask you guys to do that. But we couldn't continue to do what we're doing without you guys. It's crazy. But I do that, I do what I can. I try to bring you guys the most relevant, important information that I can find. So I hope it helps. I would ask you to share this video, but every time people share, they get unsubscribed, and then people don't remember to go back and check if, go back and resubscribe. So that's it for now, I guess. I love you guys. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay safe. Keep asking those hard questions and keep spreading that light. I'll see you guys later.